Amazing. Welcome to the webinar. We'll wait a minute for everyone to join. So hello everyone, my name is Hannah and I am a sales consultant here at StoryTerrace and I will be hosting today's webinar. So today we are going to be going behind the scenes to give you an insight into the journey of creating the perfect gift for your father, a book. So right from idea to a printed book. So on our panel today, we have with me Jeff and James. James, who gifted his dad the StoryTerrace package, and Jeff, the author of As Luck May Have It. So hi guys, would you like to briefly introduce yourselves?
Hi, Hannah. Thanks for having us. Really nice to be here. Yeah, as you said, I'm James. This is my dad. We thought we were on the same video. You can see some of the resemblance, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I came across StoryTerrace online, and my dad had been through a health scare recently beforehand, and I thought actually he has so many stories. It would be great to get those down and have them as a memoir almost, or as a memory. So that's kind of what inspired it. But honestly, I didn't have to put a lot of the work in. Dad had to actually do the work. My main thing was convincing him to do that. So once that was over the line, actually, Dad had to put most of the work in. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks,
Good morning,
James.
everybody. Because we're in the Cayman Islands. It's 11:30 in the morning here, and you guys
Unreal.
are in the UK. It's 5:30 in the afternoon. Um, James persuaded me and his three sisters to do this book, and took quite a bit of persuading actually, because it is a little bit of work, and you have to have a reasonable memory to think how far back. Because I'm 79 years old, so there's quite a bit to tell.
You could
Um,
not tell.
Anyway, we got into it, and with the help of Steve Martin, who was our ghostwriter and whatever, I had various meetings with him in person and online, and the story so slowly but surely came to fruition. And then James reread it and read it and whatever, and we took bits out, put that bit back in. And it takes a bit of time and a bit of concentration, but eventually we got to it and we did it, and the whole thing worked out really, really well, mainly for
Yeah.
the grandkids and the kids, so that they got a record when I disappear off this mortal coil, whatever. But also, it's given me quite a lot of satisfaction to go back over my life and write it all down, or
Mm.
some of it down. Not
No,
what.
I'm looking forward to hearing more detail about it for sure. And it's good that your children managed to persuade you to do it.
And
Well,
any I can give anybody only too pleased to.
oh, that's good. Well, on the agenda today, then, firstly, we are going to go into more detail about the story as luck may have it. No, straight from the actual gift to the story to the book. Then I'll be going into more detail about StoryTerrace, who we are, and then we'll be speaking in more detail about the book creation journey, speaking about the key stages of the process, as well as Jeff and James sharing their experiences. And then there will be the Q&A where I will be answering your questions that you have sent in. And then lastly, as it's a webinar about giving gifts, it's only fair we provide one ourselves. So make sure you stay tuned to hear more about it. So, Jeff, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. But no, please do. Your story is a truly remarkable journey. So, please, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about your story to the audience.
Um, Well, I mean, I think we do a bit about childhood right the way through. I had a very fun childhood in Greenford in Middlesex. We moved out of London when I was 3. Don't really remember too much about that. North London, Stoke Newington. And then we moved into a house in Greenford in Middlesex. Lucky enough to get into a grammar school, left there and worked for a few small companies, and then started a company on my own in 1970 when I was 23 called Pinewood. We were a small print company and we did design and whatever. It grew into a 12, 13 million turnover company. And I had it 38 years and it was the best fun of my life, really. It was a great fun and enabled me to do a lot of other things. We dealt with a lot of American companies. So we were to and fro into Los Angeles and here, there, and everywhere. Managing to take the kids to Disney on company accounts because we were dealing with Disney, which was very, very handy. And lots of other stories in between. But we have a home in South Africa, which we've had over 20 years. So we've traveled a lot of Africa. We've taken the kids to, I think, every continent in the world.
Top Antarctica.
Yeah, well, no, we've been to Alaska, which is not too far from it. So interests were fishing and golf. So that's been a lot of fun across the world, doing all sorts of things, and many stories in between. I've got 4 lovely children, 9 grandchildren. That's one of the reasons we came over to the Caymans to see James and his new baby boy. So it's a bit of history. It's a lot of fun. I think so. And that's it, really. I mean, I've had a few health scares. I mean, the main reason for the book, I think, I had a brain bleed in South Africa, and I was given 2 hours to live.
So scary. Wow.
They said I wouldn't walk, and I'd be struggling to talk, but I proved them wrong. And I played golf with James on Tuesday and got absolutely soaked here in the Caymans, but I'm still playing golf, so no problem. And
he also beat me.
Yeah.
Did you let him beat you, or did he actually beat you?
No, he'd never let me do that.
Could take that away from him.
Yeah. Met some wonderful people along the way, which we're still friends with many of them and all over the world, and we keep on enjoying ourselves.
Yeah,
I think that the travel and once I finished work, which was 19 years ago, there was a big void, but with the grandchildren and the travel, we filled it in, and everything's great now. So all good fun.
No, it's good to hear things are good now, and thank God they are for your health. And your book covers so much. You've been through so much, straight from the businesses to your health, your life, traveling, so much. And like I said, it really is remarkable and inspiring. So in fact, what I will ask first is actually, when you first received this gift from your son, about preserving your life story, what went through your mind?
I thought, what a daunting sight. I could say, daunting. I just can't do it. I said, no, we can't do this. This is just too big a deal.
It was can I, if I can sort of come in it was a tricky, it was a hard sell, not just to Dad, but to my sisters. He was still recovering, right, from the brain.
I can imagine.
At the time, the inspiration behind the idea was, it's one of the chapters in the book. It's quite a seminal chapter in the book where Dad gets this brain bleed, and all the kids, we will have to fly to South Africa to go and see him in hospital.
I woke up and there was 4 children at the end of the bed in the middle of Africa. I thought, shit, this is serious.
Oh, scary. Yeah.
I was actually I was in Ghana at the time. So anyway, it was scary. And I think he was unconscious for a week, 10 days, something like that.
Not that long, 4 days.
4 days, unconscious, unresponsive. And we talked to him and tell him how our day was, everything else, not knowing if he was hearing anything. And I asked the doctor if I could put some headphones on him because he loves music, Dad, and obviously we can't play music in the hospital. So I went and bought some headphones, put them on him, and very quietly, as doctor's orders, played some Beatles to Dad. He loves the Beatles. And he started mouthing the lyrics to Here Comes the Sun. And my sister looked at them and thought, he's in there, he's still there. And one what made it quite easy with this book is that Dad's memory is fantastic, and we thought that was all gone. And then when he started out the lyrics, we thought it's all in there. It just he needs to find it and reorganize it and put it back. So to then have this idea that I wanted to have kids and I wanted them to have met Dad, and they wouldn't have had that chance if he'd died in that hospital, and all those stories that he has, they would have gone. And there's a lot of stories in this book that I didn't know until we did the book as well. So it's been great on that front. And my son Fen, he obviously can't read yet, but when he can read, he can also read this book and learn a lot about his granddad. And I think that's super important, having that generation. So and I think selling it into Dad at the right time and to my sisters when he was on his recovery, strong enough to do it, so it's not a stress. But also, I also think it might have been part of his recovery. Being asked the right questions can really get your brain ticking in ways that you your own. And I think that's what StoryTerrace and what Steve did so well is asking.
Steve Martin was a real help. He came down, met me personally. Then we did 4 or 5 schools, and then he came again. And without him, I don't think we'd have got very far.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
That's good to hear. So he was also a helping factor then, which is good to hear. Okay. I mean, I can imagine how traumatic it was at that time as well. And of course, the book does cover.
Oh, we've lost you. You can't
like health as well. What about what?
No.
No?
Yeah, now I can.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Well, your title, As Luck May Have It, who chose that and what made you think of that?
Well, the whole of my life, I've really been lucky. I mean, various things could have gone one way, gone the other way. I'm just basically, touch wood, I'm a lucky person. So I thought we should have luck in the title. So it was a bit of a cliche, but we thought we'd use that.
Well, you've had a very good life and a successful life, obviously, from your perspective.
100% very successful.
Dad has quite a lot of humility, and he would never take credit for that life on his own. It's not like, oh, I'm a self-made man. It's not about that, even though obviously we think he is. Luck, he'll always say that, I've also been very lucky in life, and I think that's quite a lot of humility in that. And I think that's why it was nice to have that in the title, because it's quite a positive book generally, apart from obviously the ending. And I think it's nice to have said that that's actually, you need a lot of luck in life.
It's true. No, it's very true. You do. Thank you for sharing that, because it's very personal. Okay, well, moving on to StoryTerrace, a brief introduction about ourselves. So on the left, you can see our CEO, Rutger. So it all started because of him. He created this business after he was unable to record the rich life of his grandfather. And that was more than a decade ago now. And since then, we now operate in the USA and in the UK, and we've actually just launched in UAE too. And in those 10 years, we are extremely proud to have brought over 3,000 books to life and nurture a pool of over 600 professional ghostwriters. We are accredited and have a A+ rating from Better Business Bureau. And we have an extensive coverage across the UK and US to facilitate both in-person and online interviews. So as you can see at the top here, it says 55% of people want to write a book. However, less than 2% actually get it done. And our mission is to actually change that. We believe every life story deserves to be preserved, celebrated, and passed on to future generations. And through the power of storytelling, we help people turn their memories, their experiences, and wisdom into beautiful books that can become long-lasting legacies, just like Jeff's. So, moving on. So what goes into making the perfect Father's Day gift? So, kicking off, as soon as you buy a package from us, you will get a beautiful gift box, which will be delivered to his door. Then you'll have a dedicated project editor assigned just for him. you will have a writer matched to his personality and story. As I mentioned, we have over 600 writers. So this is something that we really listen to, the characteristics that are important to you to find that perfect match. Interviews to capture his life in his or her own words. And then we get on with the manuscript development. Once that is done, the focus shifts to the cover, the photos, the book design, and then the final part of the puzzle where it all comes to life. The book is printed and delivered as a finished book. And then there is the option for publishing and wider distribution. So, jumping straight into our journey. Project kickoff. So this is the initial call between all parties involved. So the gift recipient, possibly the giver, and our project editor. So the purpose is really to set out the path and what to expect during the actual process. So yeah, James and Jeff, tell us about your experience with your project editor.
James, you want to kick that off?
Yeah. So a lot of it, the kickoff, I think finding the right writer is really key. I was living here in Cayman, Dad was in England, so it wasn't like I could hold his hand and be in those interviews with him. So a lot of it was, okay, Dad needs to get on with this person pretty well. So I said, look, you can change your writer, I believe, a couple of times at the beginning. You can sort of meet a couple and change and help choose a few. But actually, I think Steve was the first one you met. And you with him. But again, the project editor is in charge of partnering the right person, so they do really well there. And then also just explaining not just StoryTerrace's process, but a process that I thought would work for Dad and create an environment for success for him, especially with him recovering and that taking time. So I said, look, at least the first 2 sessions have to be in person with him. He can do on video, but I work in film. Interviewing somebody over Skype is not the same as interviewing somebody in person, and I think
of course
having that, building a rapport, especially in my absence, and Dad being on that recovery is really key. So allowing that was really, really important, I think. Again, StoryTerrace made that happen. Steve.
But the easy bit is that Steve gives you a list of questions which really prompt you and help you into what you've got to find out and what you've got to do.
Right away. Look at you going straight to the question. I love it. Yeah, you're right.
It gives you, what happened here, and they take you through from infancy to junior school to what cars you drove, what girlfriends you had. I mean, many questions that you didn't even think of.
Yeah, I think Steve. Well, I don't know a lot. I never actually met Steve. I didn't really have to get to deal with him. But with the project kickoff, I think that was key. Having that set up, learning about the process. Explaining it's going to take time just because of Dad's recovery. He was traveling a bit as well, so I think you went away and then came back. So the whole thing was quite spread out, which might not have given us the best result to start with, and it just took a bit of time tweaking because you kind of forget where you were and then you have to come back to it.
The other big thing, Hannah, is getting all the photographs together because they're in all sorts of media. I mean, some are on the phone, some are here, there, and everywhere.
You're right. It's true. In fact, we'll touch on the photos later, actually, because it's a very good point. Having to collate everything. Okay. Well, no, it's good to.
Once you get into the swing of it and you know what to ask of you as far as answering questions and then extrapolating that out into paragraphs and whatever else, you can break it down into various.
Just talking about first week.
Okay. No, that's okay. Well, in fact, we can move straight into the writer introduction, actually. That's good. I think, well, here for viewers, this is where we find a writer that matches your tone and your style, and that is something we take really seriously because the ghostwriter reflects your story and your words, right? So Jeff, you spoke about Stephen. Give us a bit more context on working with him. What was that like?
Well, I mean, firstly, he came up to my house and met me, and we sat down for a cup of tea and an hour's chat, which was really good. He put me at ease straight away, and you realise this guy knows what he's doing. And if you're going to do it, you're going to do it properly, and you don't want, excuse my wording, but you don't want to be dealing with an idiot. You really want somebody who knows what they're talking about, and
Of
to help
course.
along the way, because you don't know what you're doing. I didn't have a bloody clue about writing a book. But as I say, he was a wonderful help. And then after that, we did some Zoom calls, and any technical questions I had, or any questions of any kind, Steve was there
Mm.
to help me, and I could phone him at any time, not just on a Zoom call. And we had a very good rapport very early on.
Okay,
Worked very
that's
well.
good to know. So you actually had that trust so early in the process, which is
Yes. Yeah. I
really
think
good to hear.
that's crucial, Hannah, to be honest. Yeah. It's
Okay, no, that's lovely to hear, and I'm glad that you had that rapport with Stephen, because I think, it's really important that you do get on well with, your ghostwriter, because we make sure that the person you work with understands you and understands your story. So yeah, no, that's really good to hear. So no, thank you for sharing that.
okay.
Okay, and in fact, you mentioned about the questionnaire, so we'll move on to that. So for the viewers, so this is where we ask our customers to provide more background information about yourselves and your story. So this is done through the form of a questionnaire. So this helps us to get to know you better. So, Jeff, you did speak about this. So, do you remember what you filled out in your questionnaire?
Cool. Yeah, there was lots and lots of things. As I say, from first schools, friends at
Mm.
school, what then going on to passing your test, and what cars you drove, what girlfriends you went out with, how many girlfriends you went out with. I mean, all sorts of questions that you thought, crikey, can I remember that? And going back, and where
It's a
you
good
lived as
test.
a child,
Mm.
your schooling, time at school, qualifications, where
Well,
you went
really
from your
detailed.
first jobs,
Mm.
and things. So it just takes you right away through. And then you get another questionnaire on family,
Mm.
with relationships, and whether you've had the same wife, whether you're married, whether you've got kids, whether you've got grandkids, where do they live, how close are you to them, etc., etc. And it's quite in depth as far as that's
Mm.
concerned. And then you get another one as far as what you work, where you work, how your business, what you did for a living, etc.,
Mm.
etc. And then you get another one on leisure. What are your interests? So yeah,
Mm.
it covers it, very,
In depth.
very comprehensively. It's
That's good.
very
That's good to hear. I think
into
it
all
is
sorts of
important.
things. They say, well, have you got any? Uh, I said, well, I like a bit of horse racing. Oh yeah, and then that led on to, oh yeah, well, I had a horse race racehorse
Mm.
that won 13 races, and then that takes you to all sorts of silly celebrations in Ireland and God knows what. I mean, it's
It's good for
one
reflection.
other
Mm.
all the time. It's incredible. It's great fun.
Mm. In fact, well, I wonder if you can remember this one. I actually have a question that we asked on the questionnaire, and your answer, and this really touched me, which is why I chose it. So the question was, some of our customers like to close their biography with a special message to their readers. What do you wish for your readers? Are there any life lessons you'd like to share? And what would you like people to take away from reading your book? And you said, I wish all my readers a long, adventurous life, to be kind to each other and to help those who are not as fortunate as you. So I think that just says a lot about you as a person. And I think it was just such a positive and inspiring outlook on life, which, yeah, really, really got to me reading that. So, yeah,
Well, I think if you treat others as you want to be treated, I mean, that's the way life should be. And if you're kind to
100%.
people, you'll get it back.
Couldn't agree more. You said
That's
it
it.
perfectly.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Thank you. Well, moving on to the interviews then, which is obviously where you spoke in great detail with Stephen. So for everyone listening at this stage, this is where you will be interacting with your writer. So you get to speak in depth about your story here. So Jeff, am I correct in saying that you had 4 hours of interviews?
I did.
Mm. And how did you find that experience? Did it feel natural speaking about your life with Stephen?
Not to start with, no, it was difficult.
Hmm.
But as it went on, as the process went on, and he asked the right questions, then it makes you feel at ease and you can expand on all sorts of subjects.
Was Mum listening?
No, no.
Quite
But you
important. You feel much more sort of open if you're sitting on your own quietly somewhere, I guess.
you actually touch on a really good point. I think at the start it is often most difficult because actually reflecting on your whole life, you're going into great detail speaking to someone about this, right, who is going to be writing about your story. But it's nice to hear that after that you are able to just feel it feel natural, and for you to be able to share so much detail, yeah, which is good. Okay, so moving on to the next stage, which is the writing and editing. So after the interviews, we start by giving you the first chapter and we ask for your feedback. After you have given us the feedback, we then proceed with the manuscript draft. So do both of you remember receiving the first chapter? What was that like? Did it feel real at that point? Talk me through it.
Go on, James, you do that because that went to you. Really.
Yeah, so the editing was
Hmm.
more on my plate because I hadn't been, obviously I wasn't doing the interviews, couldn't do those. And this was all my idea, so a lot of it was and I think with the editing is a really important part because it's as good as you make it. It's not all on the writer to polish it and make it perfect. This is the area where you really want to put some work in and some time in. And I read it on my own first, and I read it with my sisters. Just this first chapter, I mean, just to say, okay, because if you go wrong at the start, it's all going to go off in a funny direction, isn't it? And I think our main thing was that it was really accurate on
Okay.
Dad, but we wanted it more of his tone of voice. I remember that being one of the elements.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And I said, I think the questions are great. There were some nice stories in there, but we almost wanted to make it less factual and more about the human, about the stories. And I think Steve took that on board really well. And the next stage was a lot easier for us with regards to editing the whole book, because getting one chapter is quite an easy thing to look at and pick bits out and say, okay, this. When you've got the whole book, and if there's a lot to change in the whole book, that's quite daunting and that could be quite overwhelming. So I think getting that first chapter right is really key, because it sets you up with the next stage of editing to sort of see the wood for the trees a little bit as well, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think it's really good to hear that, from the first chapter, actually they got it pretty spot on. Of course there will always be amendments needed because we want your feedback, right? But it's so nice to hear that straight off the bat it actually worked out well. And what I will say to those listening, it is okay if after the first chapter you read some points and you're like, I want this amended. That is completely normal, and that's why we do this. We want to hear your feedback so we can make sure we are getting it exactly how you want the wording to be.
Quite a few amendments, didn't we, to the first chapter to get it right? So
Dad's got quite a unique tone of voice, and I wanted it to be written as if he was talking to you, because
100%.
I'd say having a clear vision of why you're doing the book is really key at this stage, because this was supposed to be for grandkids or someone to read it that doesn't know Dad, and when they finish that last page, they've met him. Obviously,
that's so touching.
About him, but they really felt like they've met him and they know a little bit about the person. And I think that was the thing that actually you can't really expect the writer to do that. The writer creates you like a beautiful structure, weaves the story nicely, gives you the journey, but actually it was up to us to put in the language that meant it felt like Dad was saying it.
Wow. I can understand what you mean, because it's true, everyone has their own tone in the way they speak, and I think that's why it's so important to be as honest and open as well with your writer, for them to be able to adapt and get it spot on for you. Yeah.
But we had a big gap. We had like a 3-month gap where I remember being chased by StoryTerrace going, guys, feedback, are we ready to print? And I was like, well, I go to the UK next time I visit Dad in the UK. I want to sit down with him and go through it properly, because you're only going to do this once. It's not going to go back and change it. So we wanted to get it right. So you guys were really patient. I remember extending the deadline, and you did that for us, which is great. Just so that I had time, I could fly to the UK and see Dad and do it properly. And I think I ended up writing an extra chapter that we put in that
we
felt was
Yeah.
missing, like a little section.
Mm.
But things like that that's part of, for me, that's part of the editing process. That's why editors have
100%.
credit, because it's really important. You kind of, that's your stage to make it your own, and that's why my name's also on the book as one of the sort of co-writers, because you are part of it. I quite like the idea of someone giving me something big and making changes to it and making it what I want, easier than starting with a blank piece of paper. That's scary for me. So
100%. I'm with you. I work similar, which is why I think, our product fits that purpose. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's so fun writing that. That was the chapter about your dad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The ashes. So that chapter about my dad's ashes, I wrote that with Dad, and
Amazing.
then
A funny story.
and that was, it is you turned it into a funny story. But yeah, I think the editing stage is work. The more work you put in, the better the result you're going to get.
Thank you. No, I think that's good advice. Okay.
Cool.
Moving on to the book cover then. The photos, just the imagery, the design. So here, you can start having fun designing your own cover. Alternatively, we can actually do it for you if you want. But yeah, it's for you to get creative, adding your choice of imagery. This part of the process, I think people sometimes underestimate how important imagery is. The design is super important to help tell and shape your story. So Jeff, I know you mentioned at the beginning of the call about the photos, having to go and find them all, hunting them down. What was that like?
I got the assistance of the kids really and said, look, can you find various and let me have a look at them. We'll see if we can get a selection. But there were so many in so many places on people's phones, in photo albums that you hadn't used for years. I mean, people have photographs and just put them away in a cupboard. That's what we used to do. Now they take them on their phone, and sometimes they never come to light again. They're either stored in the cloud or they're on a phone. And it was a huge task to get most of the right photographs that you wanted to put in. And then of course you've got far too many, so you have to pare it down a bit. In the end, we did a reasonable job. But there are, obviously, you look back on it and think, well, I should have put that in it and that shouldn't have been in it and whatever. But if you get 90% of it right, then it's fun. And a good story it's lovely to look back on.
No, it is. You're right, and I think
we're long discussions about the front cover. What, because it's his whole life, right? So, what age do we put it in on the front cover? Like, do we make it?
It's a good point. It's a really good point.
We had to really think about, but I think we just put quite a recent one, fairly recent one. But it was, we went through 3 iterations of like, what should we put in there, and there was a lot of scanning to get done from photos from albums, wasn't there? But again.
But you need time on that, and you can't just do that in 5 minutes. You have to do it. It's probably a good idea to start looking at photographs right at the very beginning.
Love the tip.
When you think you've got 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, it comes to the end and you finish out, oh Christ, I've got 2 weeks to find 50 photographs. So that's probably the wrong way of doing it. I would do it and start looking at photographs very early on and just put a pile on the side. And then pare it down when you come to the publishing stage.
I like the tip, and it's true. I think because you've lived a wonderful and eventful life, right? And having gone through so much, narrowing down the photos, I can imagine, it is hard. But photos are a great way to represent your story. So it's good that in the end you ended up being happy with what you did add to it. So yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Moving on then to the printing and the delivery of the book. So, after spending months of crafting your book, this is the part when you finally get hold of it physically. And I want to ask you both separately, actually, because it's a different perspective seeing your book whilst working together on it, as well as, you actually seeing your father story come to life in this book. So, Jeff, I'll start with you. What was your first emotions seeing your book for the first time?
I think I was actually quite proud of it, to be honest with you. And actually, I couldn't wait to get one each to the kids as soon as it
Yeah, I love
arrived.
that.
And those that could read, because we've got grandchildren going from 16 years old down to 5 months, those that
Wow,
could read,
yeah.
have read it, or at least looked at the pictures. So it was a case of, what do you think, really? And as long as everybody was happy, that's fine. It just gives them a general idea of me, and
Mm,
I was very happy with it.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's true. I think you should be proud, and it's your story at the end of the day. So yeah, no, it's really nice to hear that. And James, having gifting your dad this experience, this whole process, how did it feel seeing your dad's book for the first time? Yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, really amazing. I think it's kind of it's like a stamp in time, isn't it? And it's kind of a bit of a weight off the shoulders a little bit to know that that's there permanently now.
Mm,
Pick it up and just start reading a page and get a little taste of dad, which is quite nice. And I think,
mm,
especially my son Fen, the idea of him learning all of that about my dad is a really, really warming feeling. Yeah, and I think the reveal was nice. We didn't share the transcript with many people at all. I think it was just you and I and Mum.
Yeah.
I don't even think Mum read it all.
No.
So I think it was we kept it a very small loop of people to
mm.
get back. Obviously, it also creates a lot of many chefs and all that. So we kept it quite
Mm.
quiet, and it was really exciting to be able to show people. And
Mm.
we don't have copies where we were just giving out to loads of people. We have a few, and I think we have one each. So we just show people when they come over and they can read a bit, or we lend it to somebody and they
So
bring it back.
nice.
It's also
Mm.
nice that StoryTerrace have it, and every want another copy, we can just email and get another copy sent, and that's a nice feeling as well. To be honest, the quality is really nice. It sits there on a coffee table and it just looks like any other book, and then people take that
Love that.
a second
Mm.
look and they're like, that's JD on the
Oh
front
wait,
cover.
that's his yeah, that's his book.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. No, thank you for sharing your raw emotions from seeing it for the first time. Okay, well moving on then to the last stage, sharing your story. And you did touch on it briefly. So who have you shared your book with now, your story?
Well, certainly all the children.
Hmm.
A few of our friends, actually quite a few of our friends, because as I say, we didn't have many copies. I think we only we had 6 copies, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Well, we getting around to asking you guys for more anyway, which we were going to go do,
Of
which we're going
course.
to do. But I took a copy to South Africa with me, and our friends in South Africa, who we've known for years, 3 lots of friends, and they've all read it from cover to cover. Now they know a lot more about me than probably they should do, but still, um, it was good. And a funny story, actually, James doesn't know this. They recently threw prostate cancer at me as well last November.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have 20 radiotherapies. I've cleared it now. It's fine. It's one of
Wow.
those. But the 2 radiographers were such lovely, lovely girls, and we got chatting. And every Friday I'd bring in either cakes or a bunch of flowers or something or whatever. And they were so super. And
Wow.
we got talking about, oh, where have you been? And this. I said, well, I've actually got a book. And they seriously forced me to bring the book in, and they both read it and they said it was fabulous. So
Oh, I
it's
love that.
covering a lot of purposes, really.
That's
Yeah. But yeah,
so good to
anybody who wants
hear.
to read it can read it, but that's it, really. And it's a
Mm.
record for the grandkids, really,
Yeah.
which is more than that's what it's designed to do.
Has your brother read it?
No, I've never told him I've done it. I haven't told him I've done it.
Gonna know now.
I don't think I'll tell him about it.
Yeah.
In
He's in it
fact,
a couple of times, isn't he?
do you feel that the values, life lessons that you wanted to share then have been absorbed by those that have read it?
The honest answer to that is I don't know, but I hope so.
Okay. Well,
Leave horse to water, can't you?
Yeah.
okay. Interesting and honest. I like it. Okay. Well, it's a conversation for you after then, isn't it? To
Yeah.
speak to them more about it. I love it. Okay. Well, moving on then to the reflections and surprises. So, Jeff, you completed this in 2024.
Right.
Is there anything that surprised you about the StoryTerrace journey?
Once we got into it, it surprised me how easy it was. You sort of fell into it, and you were led by the writer, by Steve, who was great.
Mm,
And it's easier than you think. And I think if you're thinking about doing it, then do it. So I can't really think of the family love it, the kids love it. And as I say, it's a permanent memory, so it's there for everybody, anybody who wants to read it. I think.
that's
What
good
do
to
you
hear.
think, Nat?
Yeah, I'd probably say a similar thing. I think it's a daunting task to start with, and I
Yeah.
definitely think that questionnaire helps break the ice, and just you're not breaking the back of it or anything, but you're slowly chipping away at this project.
Yeah.
A
It's
big
true.
project like that just needs a structure and need guidance, and that's what StoryTerrace offer.
Yeah.
And I think it's not something I would even attempted without it. Yeah, it wasn't like start writing a book for my dad. Oh, I need some help. It was right. I need somebody to write a story. I need somebody to write dad's book. And I'll sort of be part of that. And that was kind of the idea. So yeah, no, it worked out pretty well, but it was convincing somebody to do it.
It's hard.
Is tricky. Like it has, there are hurdles
No,
there
of course.
and I
Of
think
course.
explaining that it's a simple process, it doesn't take too long. It doesn't have to be a long book. There's lots of different ways of doing it, and you make it work for you and do it in your style.
That's good to hear. No, I agree. And it's good to reflect on that.
Start at it, and you leave it there, and you sit. And you say, "Well, I'll get round to that later, and I'll get round to that later on." But once you actually have to force yourself to start to do it, and once you start doing it,
You're on
and
the
then
right path. No, of course. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Well, the time has come then for the Q&A. So I will kick straight off into question 1. Where do you begin? Can my father write his life in fragments and slot them into the right place after? So, yes, our team can help turn any information you have into a book. So, no matter how far into the journey you are with that, whether you've just started or you're partway through writing, we can help. So, if you and your father wanted to start writing down some snippets, go ahead. And yeah, please reach out to us directly. We are more than happy to help with that. Okay. So moving on to question 2. Can you help finishing a book my mother started? How would you create a running theme if the storyteller has too much information? So yes, of course we can help. Anything that your mother has started to write, please share with us. We can help turn that into a book. The book creation process itself will help refine and shape the theme of the book. So yeah, share with us what you already have, and we can advise on what level of support she would need. Moving on to question 3. Do we need to pay to be published? How does IP work? Could a traditional publisher later publish the book you've done for us? And would StoryTerrace help with that? So we have different publishing packages which can be added on. We have the self-published package on Amazon. This is ideal for authors who want to get their book published on Amazon. We also have the global distribution package, making your book readily available across multiple different online book retail platforms worldwide. Then we have the book proposal package. This is for people who have an influence or a following. We can help create a book proposal about your book, and we can get that sent to traditional publishers. So yeah, we have more information about that on our actual website. However, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can actually get you in touch with the head of global publishing here at StoryTerrace. Moving on to question 4. How long does it take to complete a book and publish it? The average time from start to finish is around 6 to 9 months. Jeff, how long did it take you and James?
I think it was 9 months.
Yeah, it was 9
Okay.
months. Like I said, there was that long pause.
There was a pause of about 3 months where I was traveling, James was in the Caymans, and you're going to get gaps. I think it was 9 months overall, and we did ask for an extension and got it, no problems. And then we put an extra chapter in. So there were amendments and whatever, but yeah, it worked. No problem.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to question 5. My mum does not use technology at all. Can the interviews be face to face? So yes, that is something that we do. We actually ask at the beginning your preferences. We also have a lot of ghostwriters all over the world. So wherever you're situated, we have a ghostwriter that could visit you. And Jeff, you actually mentioned that you had combined, right? So you had some face-to-face at the beginning, and then it went to more virtual interviews.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Mm.
But Steve was more than happy. If I would have wanted more face-to-face, he would have done more face-to-face. But we were both happy with doing it online. So that's the way we did it.
The only thing I wanted
No
to
work
add
for you.
previous was the time frames. It's actually really healthy to have a deadline. It's the email or it's the thing that you sort of put off a little bit and you say, oh, okay, I'll get back to that next week. And then
Of
when you get
course.
feel like this is the deadline, you're going to have to extend, or it will cost you more if you want to extend it more. It's actually a good thing because it makes you say, okay, actually, let's get this done now. But yeah, that was good. I think the time frame, having that time frame, it kind of makes you work on it a bit quicker.
No, it's good to know and to hear from your point of view, because you both did the book. Okay, so question 6: would a memoir capturing multiple events, storytellers, be better than a single story? How truthful should these stories be? So what I will say to that is there is no right or wrong answer. It's completely up to you, as it's your story, it's your preference on how you want to present that. Jeff, actually, and James, what would you say now that you have the book? Do you think multiple events?
I'd say only 10% of it's true.
I would say
that
there are some stories that are not in the book for reasons, but everything in the book is true, basically.
Keeping it
It
true.
all just comes down to like, why are you making the book? Who is it for? That's all.
Yeah,
That's the only question you need to answer, really.
Yeah. No, you're
Good point.
You're right.
100%. Okay. Question 7. I need help with writing. How can I avoid repeating he said everywhere? So firstly, this is something that our ghostwriters can actually help with. So yeah, if you need help writing, we have an author support package. So yeah, please actually reach out to us directly and we will help you with that. Question 8. What is the secret recipe to make a book a bestseller? Love that question. So we actually did a webinar on this. So you can actually check this out on our YouTube channel under the StoryTerrace playlist. So yeah, at StoryTerrace, we have helped write so many. If you go on our website, we actually have a tag for bestsellers on our library. So yeah, go check them out. Question 9. How can we get a wider audience? We already have written 3 books of StoryTerrace. Can you help with marketing now? We do have marketing support. So yeah, we can get in touch with you, or in fact, if you get in touch with us as well, we can put you in touch with the head of global publishing to help with this. And question 10. How do you persuade a reluctant dad to take part when you know he's going to love the finished book? Jeff and James.
I
You
wouldn't
can
know anything about that.
take.
No, yeah. So get the whole family behind it is quite a key one for me. It was like getting my sisters on board. They weren't as, they were very nice. They got the kids and stuff, so they weren't as sort of pushing on it as I was. It was much for it, but find a good reasoning, like convince them by saying why it would be so good to have it. Maybe not for them, but for the rest of the family, or don't make it about them.
It's true. The why is so important.
Like dads, I think our first reaction, why would I want that? It's like, it's not for you, it's for everyone else, and I explained that we had this scare. I was relieved when he started mouthing the words of that song, and we knew there still. I was like, quick, we need to get them on paper now because this could happen to anybody at any time. So it was just then, yeah, there was a bit of a strategy there, but convincing him was just about, it's about saying that it's not for you, it's a gift to all the grandkids. It's a gift to everyone in the family rather than just you. And I think that might help. Well, it depends who your dad is, but find a way of persuading on like why the book should exist.
100%.
I
Yeah, no,
concur.
you're right.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, if you're doing it for other people and not for yourself, I think that's a good enough reason.
Yeah. Why are they reluctant?
Yeah, of course. No, the why is so important, because it's the impact that your book's going to have. So yeah, and that's really good to hear.
It's well worth it. It's something it's probably the gift I'm most proud of giving.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was a lot of work, but it was worth it.
Worth it. No, that's amazing to hear, and we hope that we can replicate that with many other fathers. And these questions are the ones that were sent in prior, but if anyone has any more, please directly email me. The information will follow at the end of the webinar for you to be able to reach directly out.
Can I add chapters?
Go on.
Can I still add chapters even though it's been published?
Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, if you wanted to, and that's actually a good question for everyone, if you wanted to actually add more information to the book, that is something we can do. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us and we can add more chapters. Something we can do. Yeah.
Thanks, Hannah.
No, of course. Okay. So to kick things off then, we would like to offer a lucky winner a book taster. So a book taster is the perfect way to capture the experience here, the whole process in a short snippet. So with a book taster, you will get a 1-hour in-depth interview with a ghostwriter where you can explain your detail of your story. And after that, what will happen is we'll go away and we will work on a blueprint document, which will give a high-level outline. We will also include a sample page of writing. It will refine the narrative style and tone, and also have the option of the book cover. And once that has been created, we will send that out to you in around 2 to 3 days after. And your sales agent will actually call you just to check in to see how you found that, listen to your feedback from that book taster. So yes, hopefully, with this, it will kickstart the book journey. So I can actually say that congratulations, Crystal Jennings, you are the winner. So yeah, we look forward to working with you and capturing the story of your father. So moving on, bam. Not only have we given away a free book taster, we have an exciting offer that we want to share with anyone who has joined the webinar. So we are having a $200 and £150 off your StoryTerrace book package. So this offer is valid until June 21st, Father's Day. So yeah, to claim your discount, just use the code STWebinar on our website, or you can actually speak to us directly. And yeah, it's a great time to do it, to be able to gift your dad something so memorable in time for Father's Day. Now, we are the gift that keeps on giving. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a surprise. So we would love to send your fathers a personalized StoryTerrace gift box. So these are for both the UK and the US. So within that, the gift boxes come with a welcome letter, so you can insert a lovely personalized message for your Father's Day. And given it's Father's Day so soon, it will be great to give as much detail about that and what he means to you. Then you'll also have a premium leather journal and a pen. So yeah, I think this is just such a great touch to accompany the book package and to be able to give him a gift on Father's Day. And with the pen and book, you can even start jotting down your ideas on your story. So yeah, to confirm, we can actually send these free of charge. It's on us. We'll send it directly to your dad's house. So you just need to quote Father's Day gift when speaking to us. And yeah, we look forward to sending these out. So I want to thank you all for joining us, taking the time to tune in. Special thanks to Jeff and James for joining us and sharing their experiences. It's been so lovely meeting you virtually, whilst I'm jealous that you're on the Cayman Islands. And yeah, if you feel free to get in touch with me directly. That's my email there, or call us or visit us on the website. We really hope that we can help preserve yours or your father's story and turn it into a cherished book forever. So that is bye from us for now.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Hannah.
Bye.